Manchester United 1, Brighton 2. Janusz Michallik, a new manager at Manchester United, but the same old problems.
Yeah, new season, same problems. That's right. First impressions are very important, right? And I'm going to stop short of saying it's a massive fail, but pretty close to it. I mean, let's be honest here. I mean, if you look at the first 45 minutes, in fact, it was embarrassing. I think if you Manchester United haven't had so many hopes with Erik Ten Hag and new season, couple of new signings, a little bit better in the second half. But I think you'd expect that. You expect a little bit of a bounce, and that didn't last for very, very long. And in fact, I think with some of the substitutions that Brighton have made, after 10, 15 minutes where United were on top, I think once again they controlled the game. And it seems to be easy these days to control the match against Manchester United. We also know that at home, although a little bit better last season, I think teams just don't fear Manchester United in general and at Old Trafford.
1983. Steve Gatting scores for Brighton. The only time they've taken something from Old Trafford up until now. That's their first ever win at the Theatre of Dreams. All the headlines are going to be about Ronaldo coming off the bench, about Manchester United losing, about Ten Hag getting off to a dreadful start. They're kind of going to forget about Brighton. I don't want to do that. I thought Brighton, especially in that first half, were excellent. They've sold Cucurella. They've sold their other best player, their defensive midfielder, Yves Bissouma. And they can still produce that. Why don't they get the credit that they deserve? Not just this, but from others that do English football.
I think they do to a degree, but I think we did worry. You've mentioned last time, it's been a while since they've won at Old Trafford, right? And, I think during the last season and during the preseason and the transfer market, we've talked about Brighton saying they must sign a central forward, one that consistently delivers, right? Because they haven't had that. They have so many draws in the past, but in comes Pascal Gross. Maybe that's the answer. So part of us not giving them credit in this transfer market, maybe it was that they didn't have that. But if you look at the performance of Danny Welbeck today, I mean, he ran Manchester United defense ragged. Everybody, I mean, almost every player, in that back four. That was the issue. He looked good without scoring in the wide areas. If you look at Solly March and Leandro Trossard, who played wing back, and that's not necessarily his position. I mean, they totally outplayed Rashford and Sancho, right? In fact, I don't remember anything from Sancho and Rashford for the most part. The worst problem for United even is that in those wide areas, when you look at on the bench and their squad, they don't really have anyone to replace them, right? If you look at Brighton and the two that I've mentioned, Solly March and Trossard, at least they have Lamptey that comes in, Mwepu going forward. They've had a deeper and maybe better squad than Manchester United. I found that incredible.
Manchester United losing at home on the opening day. What was the biggest concern today for Erik Ten Hag?
The biggest concern, well, let's give them a little bit of credit because I thought they were dynamic and energetic in the first 20, 25 minutes. They moved the ball forward well enough. My question mark has always been, how do you play Christian Eriksen and Bruno Fernandes together, right? And in the manner in which, somewhat enforced, because Martial was injured and Ronaldo was on the bench, was Bruno Fernandes, who was playing the false nine, and Eriksen right next to him. Do you remember one chance they created? I mean, those are two very creative players, right? In the first half, they didn't. Maybe by default, when Ronaldo came in, right, Christian Eriksen was dropped much deeper and looked better, right? He was able to distribute some balls. And, so that's an area where I was surprised because I thought that with Eriksen and Bruno Fernandes, they'll create some chances. First game, I get that, but not a great sign. And they're even talking about Frankie de Jong, who, by the way, will fit in that deeper role. But it, begs a question. Frankie de Jong, Bruno Fernandes, Eriksen, much alike to a degree where you could see for sure the issues were with Fred and McTominay.
Where are the goals coming from for Manchester United if Ronaldo leaves?
Big question mark. And, Ronaldo's going to leave or not. I mean, part of me, you almost want to say that things changed a little bit when he came on. And I was afraid that if he was going to score a goal, it's going to be once again Ronaldo. I don't necessarily know if that would have been great for Manchester United because he would have been the hero, which he would have loved, right? And still wanting to be away from Manchester United. All it tells me is that they need to do their work and homework in the transfer market still, because you're quite right. Unless you think that out of nowhere, Martial is going to become this consistent goal scorer, you're going to think that Rashford is going to be much, much better under Erik ten Hag, which didn't see it. I know it's better in the preseason. Jadon Sancho, very, very disappointing. In the center of the pitch, yeah, no Bissouma, but look at Caicedo, single-handedly took care of Fred and McTominay. So, wow, I didn't see this coming, because to me, rightfully, Brighton won it. And again, back four, not cohesive, Mark, right? Lisandro Martinez not looking great. By the way, if you wonder, I thought it was 100% penalty on Danny Welbeck.
You just made a comment there, Janusz, and I want to follow up on that. You said you didn't see this coming. Should we have seen this coming? Because maybe Ten Hag is a giant piece of wallpaper that papers over the cracks. What has really changed, apart from a couple of new signings and maybe some new ideas, but on that performance, should we have seen that coming? Are we just, it's Man United against Brighton, big team against not a big team? They didn't play like that.
What I did not see is, I knew that this is not going to be a great Manchester United overnight with Ten Hag, right? But what I did not see coming is that Brighton, in the first match of the season at Old Trafford, are going to comprehensively outplay Manchester United in the first half, and then in the second half.
But Janusz, they beat them 4-0 the last time they played. Brighton 4, Manchester United 0, albeit at the Amex.
Right.
So we should have seen this coming, shouldn't we?
Well, yeah, no. Like I said, I didn't see Manchester United for me for years has become just a name, right? This is not the Manchester United that their fans expect and deserve. That is for sure. We've talked about Ten Hag. I mean, why did I think he's different from Ralf Rangnick or Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, right? I just thought that his discipline, his ideas, the thought of playing on the front foot was maybe going to bring some different. I saw preseason that was promising. We understand it's just a preseason, but one that was promising. So, when you play against Brighton, even though they lost to them, as you mentioned last season, it is home, it is Old Trafford, it is new, it is a chance to impress and stay in the game, not to be comprehensively outplayed. I hope you understand the difference, right? Last season, you're sort of mailing it in. We all knew about Manchester United. Their season was over for a long time. I just thought that at the very least, they're going to put up a fight. And, barring, as I said, 15, 20 minutes the second half, which almost every team, when they're losing 2-0 at home, is going to kind of, give you something different and show a little bit of pride. But as we've seen, that wasn't enough.
In the second half, United were a lot better. It seemed like there was more of a freestyle performance. It wasn't as kind of tactically rigid as a first half display that didn't work. They had options. They tried to get it wide. They tried to get into the box. I know it's difficult for Manchester United fans to try and see any positives from that, but from the second half display, is there anything that Erik ten Hag can say, yeah, okay, right, that worked. I can use that going forward. Or is it a case of, right, where do we go from here?
As I said, he needs to forget about McTominay and Fred, right? I mean, we've all talked about it, but as we said, people felt in preseason it was good enough. Obviously, having Bruno Fernandes and Eriksen, one of those players needs to drop deeper. You need that creativity to service the wide players, and we saw that from Eriksen a little bit. I was looking at him, and on two or three occasions, good diagonal, longer balls to find the wide players a little bit earlier. So that's one thing that I'm sure it's going to change almost immediately, right? He's probably going to say that if Martial is ready, that changes maybe the options that he has. Maybe Cristiano Ronaldo, which Ten Hag continues to say he believes in him, he may start as well. So we may see something different. Next week it's away for Brentford. The same Brentford, same situation. They were 2-0 down away today to Leicester City. They found a way to draw, right? After that, it's a big matchup against Liverpool at home. So you remember when I started, big, first impressions are important. This was a very, very bad first impression. Needs to change that quickly in the next game, and certainly against Liverpool at home. Because if they don't, I think we're in for the same sort of season as we had last year, with Manchester United not being even near the top four.
Let's remember that Sir Alex Ferguson's first match in charge of Manchester United was a defeat at Oxford. I'm not trying to compare the two, I'm saying that this is going to be a long journey and a long road. But in front of Mr. Glazer, the co-chairman of the football club, that was pretty much unacceptable as Manchester United lose their opening game of the season at home to Brighton.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.